Hi, everyone, and welcome to our secure CMS initial setup. Um, so today I'm going to be walking you through the initial setup steps of the secure CMS. The secure CMS is available for free download on our website under the support tab in the download center and under the secure series section. After you install the CMS, this is what you're going to see, this login screen here. It's going to have the password already saved for you. 1234567U is the password. It's going to have that saved in there for you already. Your username is going to be admin. All this server information is going to be left alone and remain as the default. You can turn on auto login so you don't get a login screen right here if you want to. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to log in. Okay. CMS is going to populate. I had it open already, so that typically you won't see that screen. You're going to have then the main menu screen pop up. Okay. From the main menu screen, one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to go to devices. Let's go ahead and click on devices, and we're going to add our camera. Now you have a couple options. You can either add your NVR or you can add your camera individually. If you're adding your camera individually, it would have to be on your local network. And there's a couple ways you can set that up. So if you have an NVR, you could plug your laptop directly into the back of one of the plug and play ports. So if you're using a laptop for screening, we definitely recommend adding the camera isolated by itself. It will help you get the most out of your secure CMS. So the way that you do that is either adding it locally or you put the camera on the network and you can add it on in kind of a remote fashion. Okay, so one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to add the camera. So we're going to hit add device here. Okay, your device name, you can name that whatever you'd like. Okay, that's just going to be how it shows up in the list. You're going to switch your device type. If you're adding the camera, you're going to switch your device type to body temp detector. Okay. Your private, you're going to leave your protocol on private. You're going to put in your IP information of the camera. Okay, so I'm going to input that now for our camera. Okay, and then you're going to put in your port. This is going to be your control port. Okay, the CMS uses the control port. If you're using the web viewer, it uses the HTTP port. Okay, since we're using the CMS software, this is going to be the control port. So control port 614. You're going to put in your username and password of your actual camera. Okay, so if you've done your initial setup of the camera, the initial default password is 1234567U, but it has you change it when you initially log in. So you're going to put in whatever you changed it to. You're going to leave all this information the same. Okay, as the default. You can run a test to make sure that you get a connect success, which is what you should get. And then you can add the camera. After you add the camera, it's going to read offline. Don't be alarmed by that. You just need to leave the screen, come back, and you'll get an online reading. Okay. So now that your camera is added, okay, you have a few options for viewing. Okay. And this is going to be very basic in terms of the camera. This is just the initial setup and very basic of some of the functionality that you can do with the camera via the CMS. So when the camera is added to the CMS, you can do your standard live view. This is just going to look just almost like a web viewer, only it's a lot cleaner. So you can do your initial view. You can split views, or if you have multiple cameras, you could do like a quad view. Then you're going to go ahead and you can pull up a double view. You can pull up your thermal lens as well as your standard lens. As people walk through, you're going to get temperature readings. So this is very basic, very standard web viewer. Okay, so that's one option. Another option that you have is if you go to the common functions. By default, these are not enabled. I should have disabled these prior to this. I apologize. So by default, this is what you're going to see. You're going to hit what I recommend is hitting the next step. I would say is hit card management here in the bottom right. Click on temperature monitor. you're going to enable temperature screening, temperature search, and statistics, okay? These are some of the very basic functionalities that you can get out of it, and it's really utilizing your CMS to maximum capacity, okay? After you add those, one of the next steps, you'll notice I did not add temperature config. There's a reason I didn't add that, is because a lot of times, so we're just going to change one number in there. A lot of times people will tend to touch that, so we don't like to have that active in your common functions, because we don't want to draw people to touching it, because it can kind of conflict things in your CMS software. But we do need to change something in there. So what I usually do is I don't activate that button. I go down to all features. I scroll down to my temperature monitor, and now I'm going to click on temperature config. I'm going to adjust this number. This number by default is set at 100. Okay. Now that's what's going to come default in your CMS. This number should be 1 point below your temperature, your high temperature reading on your camera. So that's under your face alarm linkage section. Whatever your high temperature threshold is, this number should be 1 point below it. So our high temperature threshold on our camera right now is 99.9. So this number should be 99.8. Okay. All these other numbers, you leave them alone. You don't need to, nothing in this area needs to be touched. A normal temperature measurement is just going to show you low body temperatures. Nobody's walking around with a body temperature of 96, 95.5 and lower. Hypothermia is starting to settle in. You really don't need that turned on. It's no benefit to you. So just leave that off, and leave all these other numbers the same. Make sure you hit apply after adjusting your number. Again, remember 1 point below, and only this number. This is the only number you need to change, okay? Then you go back to your main menu. Now, one of the most common things that people like to use for screening and viewing is the temperature screening button, which is what we enabled before. You can turn that on. If you have this on, you can open up your camera, just like you did in the other lens. By default, it's going to give you the split view, but again, you have your single, double, quad, or if you have even more cameras, you have more options there, okay? What you're going to then have is, as people walk through and get their body temperatures registered, over here on the right-hand side, you're going to get a temperature reading and a screenshot of the person that walked through, okay? This is going to get saved to your PC, okay? Over here, you're going to have your over temperature. Okay, so anybody who walks in with a high temperature, you're going to get a screenshot in red down here at the bottom with their high temperature readings. Also, if the CMS is connected to a PC that has sound, you're going to also hear an audible warning by default for an over temperature alert. Okay, so that's right here in the top right. You can disable that right here, but by default it's turned on, and you can turn it on or off in this gear icon here. You can do for all temperatures, so you can get a reading, and you'll get a reading for each temperature reading. If you want a message for no mask, you can turn that on here. Okay. If you want to say something, you can write something in here, and it will actually say what you tell the system to say. Okay. So if you want to know if somebody's walking with no mask, that's why you would enable that. Okay. This is one of the most common things that people use for screening. I would say it's definitely our most popular. Also over here in the top left, you get a snap count. So as it grabs temperatures, you can kind of get an idea of how many people walk through. Granted, you might get multiple snaps for multiple people, but it can kind of give you a rough estimate. Okay. You also get your over temperature readings right down here as well. Okay. To get back to your main menu, you can just hit the plus sign here at the top. This will bring you back to your main menu. All right. So one of the other common things that people like to use is the temperature search. So if you click on this button, you would switch it to by device. Select the camera that you want to search for, and the time period that you would like to search. Now, essentially what this is going to do is this is going to give you a screening of every temperature. So I have it set to all right now. Every time I grab somebody's body temperature, it's going to give me a screening, all the screenshots of the people that in the time period I searched and the camera that I searched for. Okay. I'm doing all temperatures. If I want to see my high temperatures or my normal temperatures, I can select that here. I don't believe we have any high temperatures in here right now, so there's no examples of that. However, you can do an all search. So if you want to see who came in that day, you know, you can also add these people to your database from the CMS. We won't dive into that in this video, but there's a way to do that. And if you have them added into your CMS, it'll actually do face recognition and match the person. So you can see, hey, did so-and-so come to work today? And what was their body temperature? So you're capable of doing that. Okay, that's a very neat function. One of the next things that we'll look at here is the temperature statistics. This is also a common function. This will tell you how many body temperatures, normal body temperatures it read within the day or within the hour by default. Now you can set the day that you're looking at. You can set the hours that you're looking at. If I do a day, or this is going to give me a 24-hour period. We had some high temperatures. We were just doing some testing. So that's kind of what you'll see for the high temperatures. It kind of just breaks it down. Down here at the bottom, it's going to show you some more numbers and statistics. When it's talking about processed or unprocessed, you have to process your high body temperatures. That's by this alarm button here. You're essentially just acknowledging them, that you saw them. Because if it's a misfire or something like that, you can just throw it out. So that way you don't get improper statistics. Okay. So that's really the basics of the camera and some of the most commonly used functions of the camera. I'm also going to show you really quick how to add your recorder and what that would look like. So if you add your recorder, you go to devices, you're going to go to add device. Instead of using body temp detector, you'll select NVR. You can then again name the device. You can put in the IP address. You can use the username and password of the camera. Again, the NVR is control port is what you're going to put in here. Okay. And as you're going to see for an NVR, all this stuff is a little bit different, not configured and not used. Okay. And then you're going to add the camera. After you add the camera, you're going to notice with the NVR added, you don't have, so if you only have the NVR added, let's say, and you have the camera plugged into the NVR and you only have the NVR, you don't have the camera added, this temperature screening option is not going to be there for you. Okay, you're not going to see the NVR in here. You can't use the NVR. This is strictly a camera, standalone for the camera. That's why I was saying you can either add the camera, you can add the NVR. But if you add the NVR, you're not going to get full functionality out of the CMS. You won't have access to temperature screening, temperature statistics, or temperature search. Also won't have access to like the face libraries and creating a database. All you'll have access to is the live view. You'll be able to pull up the live view and it'll be very standard. It still looks clean in here, but it's just going to be, as people walk through, you're going to get temperature readings here, but no screenshots and none of that information. One thing I didn't show you too is where your screenshots are saved. You can define that over here in the top right. Your screenshots get saved. You click on file path. They're actually going to be saved in this folder. Okay. You can go into that folder. It's broken up by days. So if you want to delete specific days or delete specific photos, you can go to that folder and do that. Okay. All right, and that is the basics of the CMS software. If you have an NVR added, you can also access playback here. I'm not show you that, but if your NVR has a hard drive in it, you can view playback and review video footage. All right, that is the basics of the CMS software. We appreciate taking the time today, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you.